Today and Across the Fence, it's lunchtime for livestock. We're going to learn why a growing number of Vermont farmers are putting their animals on pasture. Good afternoon and thanks for joining us. I'm Judy Simpson. The growing demand for local food means that more of our food is being grown naturally. For livestock producers, that means raising animals on pasture, which translates into healthier animals and a strong bottom line. And for consumers, it means better tasting food that's raised in the community instead of across the country. When Vermonters need information and research related to pasturing animals, they can turn to the Vermont Pasture Program. Joining me is Jen Colby. Jen is the coordinator of the Pasture Program with University of Vermont Extension's Center for Sustainable Agriculture. Great to see you again.
Great to see you.
Now, what changes have you seen in livestock pasturing over the past decade?
Well, we've seen an increase in female farmers who have been pasturing more livestock and starting farms as well. We've seen an increase in young farmers, which is very exciting. In the last 20 years, we've gone from about 36% of the total farms in Vermont having some permanent pasture to 60% in the most recent ag census. So we still don't have as high an acreage as we'd like. We've gone from about 7 to about 11% of total ag land in Vermont in pasture. But it's very exciting to see as a trend that more farmers are incorporating it as some part of what they do.
Well, it's hard to believe, but pasture grazing declined significantly in Vermont about 30 to 40 years ago. Across the Fence spoke with two of Vermont's grazing pioneers who told us how they got started and about the benefits to their animals, their businesses, and their environment.
I don't know when exactly it was. Must have been about 88 or 89 in there that Gene Richardson at UVM and several of us went together, put in a proposal to the Kellogg Foundation for a community development project, and it was funded. And for my part of it, I took and hired 5 people to form discussion groups, and each person had about 20, worked with about 20 farmers. In the 6 regions of Vermont, we started having pasture walks each grazing season in the 6 areas. So with some seasons we'd have, depending upon how long the grazing season was going, we'd have 40 pasture walks in Vermont, where people would get together and help each other, and we all learned how to do it. So in 10 years, I had accumulated so much knowledge. This is the 4th edition, published in '98. A lot of farmers just saw the benefits of it right away. The savings in labor, get those cows out of confinement. Having grown up on a dairy farm, I can't imagine anyone in their right mind wanting to continue essentially winter feeding and chores year-round when we can graze for 6 or 7 months a year here. And it cuts your labor down, from 15 hours a day to 2 or 3. Cuts your expenses way down because much less manure being spread, much less feed harvested and stored. The quality of life of farmers is not good when they're working every single day full bore. Whereas when you get out on grazing, it just lightens your load a lot.
My name is Doug Flack. I'm on Flack Family Farm in North Fairfield. We have a herd of American milking Devon cattle. We milk some of them and sell raw milk, and we sell grass-fed beef and breeding stock, and we use our cattle to help drive the fertility cycles on the farm, because we also grow vegetables, which we ferment. We don't sell any fresh vegetables. We ferment them all and sell them as 2 kinds of kimchi and sauerkraut. What do I see out in the future? Well, I want to tell a story because I think stories best illustrate what I'm thinking. We had 19 inches of rain on this farm in June and July. Now that's never happened. I don't believe you could ever find a historical record that that's not even close. Typically we get 3 to 5 inches in those months each. That created enormous problems for us in growing our vegetable crops. But the grazing part of the farm just had no problem with 19 inches of rain. And that's the big story. We are coming into a time of very unpredictable, erratic, and damaging weather systems. And so we better be thinking about that big time as we design or evolve our farm environment and our food system. Our grazing lands here have 9 to 11% organic matter in the soil under the sod. And it's a very thin soil, you know, because this is an upland till farm. And it just absorbs that water and sends it into the soil, and the organic matter retains the nutrients and retains the water, and the streams stay clear.
I'm here in the studio with Jen Colby, who's the coordinator of the statewide pasture program. And one of the comments we just heard was that pasturing livestock improves the environment. Is pasturing a tool to improve water quality, do you think?
It absolutely is, and Doug referenced that as well. The 9 to 11% soil organic matter means that carbon has been sequestered in the soil. So that's good for the atmosphere, but it also means that it has created a soil that acts like a sponge, and that is the best thing for water quality. If we can filter into the soil instead of running off the soil, then we've done a tremendous service for water quality.
How does your work in your program help grass-based farmers?
So we do a bunch of different things. We do pasture walks were referenced. We don't do 40 anymore. We're not able to do that. We don't have the staff, but we do at least a dozen of those, or partner with a dozen of them in a year. We do a conference each year for about 350 farmers. And then we also provide a lot of one-on-one technical assistance. So we go help farmers with their individual situations, and that is also where we can really do a lot of problem solving and working together to help them reach their goals, whatever those are.
What are the barriers to even more grass-based farming?
Change is hard.
Yes.
I think a lot of that is as much mental and emotional and familial as it is sometimes just the mechanics of changing. Pasture seems like it's very complicated because there are many moving parts. It's got some very simple concepts to managing grass well, but it is one of those things you can pick up quickly, but it still will take you a very long time to refine. And I think that that's a little challenging for folks who've been able to sort of look at something in a linear way, and it isn't always that way. It's a little bit more changeable, a little bit more flexible, and that's not always easy for people to change.
And so there are a growing number of farmers under the age of 35 who are swelling the ranks of pasture-based farms in Vermont. We talked with 2 of the young farmers to find out how and why pasturing fits the goals of their farm business.
We have about 70 sheep right now. We'll have upwards of 90 lambs in the spring. The whole idea of the farm was to have sustainable agriculture with sustainable energy, so the solar and the sheep grazing under the panels was sort of the model from the beginning. And so I think that's what started everything. But personally, I guess, I mean, it is economic for us. We're not pushing our animals to produce, and it just seems more natural. I would say our animals are generally healthier when they're out on pasture than they are during the winter months when they're more confined. In my opinion, I wouldn't say that sort of grass farming is a new thing. You know, there are a lot of debates you could have regarding what's the best way to farm, right? And I think I fall somewhere in between, sort of very conventional and not. But in terms of grass farming, I think there are a lot of young farmers in Vermont, and I think with smaller farms who are interested in these systems and having animals outside and grazing, and so I think in a lot of ways we're going to move back to more grazing, and I mean I think it also depends on sort of what the economy does and, you know, the cost of fuel. I think all of those things very much affect decisions that people make. I mean, it's not a simple question, and I think there are a lot of different factors, and I think it depends on what your farm goals are, and the number of animals, and I do think that there is a demand for local food, and I think above all, that's probably the most important thing, is local.
I started working, I'm 23 now, and I started working on farms when I was 16. I started working at Essex Farm over in New York, and they're a pasture-based farm, so I was doing some grazing there, mostly poultry there. That was kind of my job, was laying hens and broilers and stuff. So I guess, yeah, probably 8 years of farming under my belt, at least part-time in some capacity. I did the UVM cream program, and that is not a grazing herd, and I just didn't like it. It wasn't the same to me, the cows being inside all the time. Grazing is like, you know, the way forward. Like economically, in looking into starting my own business plan, it's like I couldn't start a dairy farm, or a confinement dairy farm. Like economically, it just would never have worked, like shipping milk, and even if I wanted to, I couldn't have. So I think low input grazing is kind of the way of the future for the livestock industry, and we just need to accept that and move forward with that and start to develop the technologies that'll make it more efficient and affordable for consumers. It's nice to see other young people like me, like, you know, a lot of people are vegetable farming that are my age, but dairy farming is not something you see a lot of 23-year-olds doing unless they grew up on a dairy farm and they're just going to inherit it from their family. So I think that grazing kind of provides it's kind of like some sort of way to get people engaged. It's like a different thing. You get to be outside with the cows, and it's so beautiful and picturesque, and I think that's a way to attract people. Obviously, they have to figure out that it's really hard and not that romantic after the fact, but I think it's a good way to at least like get your hooks into young people. That we need a lot more young people raising animals and farming in this country. I think there's also an opportunity for people like me to learn a lot from the grazers that have come before us, because they kind of invented, you know, like came up with their own grazing systems all over Vermont and the Northeast, and are getting older now and getting ready to kind of retire. And we need to pass that knowledge along, or it's going to be lost, and people like me are going to have to start from scratch again, which is crazy. So, yeah, I think that's something that really excites me, is making those connections.
That's interesting. You said grazing is the way forward. What is it about these young farmers in grazing?
They haven't started with preconceived notions from the previous generations. I think that's been one of the things, is they are often coming in very fresh. They've grabbed onto this idea, and what I have really loved is that they're very sharp business people, and you know, Henry is a great example of that. He's gone through the Youth Ag IDA program. He's done business planning. He just wrote a second business plan. He's 23. He's written 2 full business plans.
It's incredible.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. They're very motivated.
And so you host an annual conference in January each year. Give us a glimpse as to this year's conference.
So we're very excited to be celebrating the 20th anniversary of the conference this year. So we're doing a little bit of looking behind and a little bit of looking forward. We've got Jim Garish, who is the man who coined the term and literally wrote the book, Management Intensive Grazing. He's our keynote. He's doing an advanced grazing workshop all day for the folks who've been doing this for a while and can refine. And then we have some great things for new farmers as well. So it's all about celebration and achievement and looking forward to the future.
Is there one question that you get more than any other from farmers who are interested in grazing, interested in starting the concept?
Oh, where do I start?
Yeah.
I mean, no, I mean, not just me. That's
right.
Actually the question.
I'm sure.
Is where do I start? What can I do? Or I have a lot of animals. How can I just get started when I have a lot of animals? And we often just recommend start small. Start with the least challenging group of animals to move or to understand, or that have the lowest nutritional requirements while you start this process, and play and learn, and we'll work with you on that.
And so how can viewers learn more about pasturing and grazing?
So our website is www.uvm.edu/pasture. They're also welcome to call my number on the screen. We have lots of resources, and the link to the conference is on the website as well.
So people can learn all about that
Yes.
as well.
Yep.
Well, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely, thank you.
That's our program for today. I'm Judy Simpson. We'll see you again next time on Across the Fence.